This time, as arranged with the operator, Laughlin arrived somewhere else on the derelict, above the first arrival point, in order to avoid an ambush. This appeared to work, because as soon as he arrived, nothing happened. He sighed, relieved. He hoped this would keep up. He'd already formed his plan and his strategy. He was going to move as quietly and unobtrusively as possible. This axe thing. Didn't know for sure how many were going to come back, or where, or even if they were going to come back at all. He had that much on his side. For all he knew, the axe had slunk off to a dark corner somewhere, and was either celebrating having killed as many as it did, or to mourn the loss of those it hadn't, and might even have gone to settle back in for another long wait for whoever came by next. His goal was to reach the crates in the engineering complex as silently as possible, place a beacon, and this time wait for the operator to shift them out before retreating back to the recovery point. This time he'd set another departure point as well, so the machine wouldn't know exactly where he was heading. He had with him the Tank Buster, which was basically a two-shot, rocket-propelled grenade launcher. As backup, he'd brought a standard blaster, but that was more of a comfort than a real weapon under the current circumstances, he knew. The survivor's account of firing at their attacker revealed that it seemed impervious to blaster fire. He had a porter scan too, which would help him to find his way around the ship, and which might help him keep track of his enemy, if he could even figure out how to use it to track the alien. Nothing showed on the small display panel on the instrument. There were no energy readings at all. He tried scanning for a droid, mechanical or electronic activity. Nothing there either. He kept the brightness of the flashlight on a very low setting. He didn't want to attract undue attention, but neither did he want to take a headlong fall over an unseen obstruction. The noise alone would attract trouble. Laughlin slowly began to move forward, taking care to step as quietly as he could, and made for the nearest entrance to the stairwell. He found them without incident and headed down to the next level. The old arrival point was a mess. Blood and fresh body parts lay scattered around the place, and there was a smell, too. The disturbing stench of the freshly slaughtered. The sight didn't help his mindset much. He consulted the porter scan. Interestingly enough, the same phenomenon young Bennett complained of appeared on his display. Brain activity. The device showed brain activity. It wouldn't say where exactly. It was everywhere, sort of in the same way as the air. As he stood there, alone in the dark, the thought crossed his mind. So, this is what it feels like, to go insane. Laughlin turned round quickly, trying to get a fix on it. No luck there. Then, just as suddenly, it was gone. Walking slowly and as silently as possible, Laughlin cleared the old arrival point successfully and reluctantly made his way back to the stairwell. Dim light illuminated them from somewhere below. The stairs were metal and built with sections of latticework like an old-fashioned fire escape. The stairway twisted down towards the left. They seemed endless. But after several turns, he arrived on the 15th deck. The corridor was clear, just as it had been before. Some discarded N-Tech equipment lay where it had been thrown by a hasty refugee less than an hour earlier. The doors set in the light grey frames that crossed the passage at roughly 10-meter intervals, were all open, as they had been open for centuries.
Alien meets Event Horizon Demonspawn. The I.S.S. Mordrake is in serious trouble. After a skirmish with a Corsair marauder, she is stranded in deep space far from regular shipping routes, and death appears certain. But in space, not all things are certain, not even death. Adrift with no hope of rescue, the I.S.S. Mordrake has 6 months' worth of food left, but just less than 2 weeks of air, and things are looking pretty grim. And, as if there's not enough on their plate already, something dark and mysterious drifts into their path. An ancient derelict ship littered with the dusty remains of its long-dead crew. The derelict presents an all-too-convenient and timely solution to their problem, offering the desperate castaways the spare parts they badly need to repair their ship. But nothing's ever really that easy, is it? There's no such thing as a free lunch out there in the cold, empty wastes of deep space. Resentment, bitterness, and malaise having taken hold of the survivors, the sudden possible reprieve brings new challenges. In order for the crew of the Mordrake to survive, they have to work together. Even though the faceless, cold-blooded killer who brutally murdered the Mordrake's captain still walks freely among them, and in spite of a further run of mysterious accidents, they must find a way to retrieve the parts they need to repair their own vessel. No matter what lies in wait for them on the derelict ship, something that seemed to want to keep them all to itself, Demonspawn is Book 2 in the Galaxy series by South African writer Christina Engela, available now on Amazon in paperback, ebook, and as an audiobook narrated by Nigel Peaver.